Hello world, good morning. Welcome to Shake Talk with Barbie Lee. This is where we assure your quality of life one shake at a time. Physically with our isogenic shakes, financially with our network marketing opportunity, and these conversations are always about something for you to think about, something about that and assure your quality of life or improve your quality of life because you start thinking a little bit differently, like outside the box. Had a conversation and it's like, what does that mean, outside the box? And I remember once hearing, it's when you live inside the box that you don't know anything, because on the outside is where the instructions are, like, in a box of spaghetti, or, you're making something. So I thought that was kind of get out of the box. Hey, good morning, Cindy. So what we're doing this week is, and actually the next few weeks, and we've been doing it, is we've been doing the book. Well, let me pull up my Kindle here. So the 15 commitments of conscious leadership. So that's what we're working on through right now. So we are on chapter 4, speaking candidly. And oh wait, sorry, another thing. I have 3 things going on here to make it a little bit easier for me to have my commitments ready to go, but of course I didn't. So speaking candidly. So commitment number 4 is very simple, and it says, I commit to saying what is true for me. I commit to being a person to whom others can express themselves with candor. And being an unconscious leader, oh, I spit on my screen again. Being an unconscious leader, I commit to withholding my truth, facts, feelings, and things I imagine, and speaking in a way that allows me to manipulate an outcome. I commit to not listening to another person. And I tell you, there's a lot of stuff going into my world right now, and this book is perfect. So we've talked the last couple of days, so now we're partway through the chapter. So remember I told you there was a really great quote in the book. So here it is. If we all speak candidly and don't withhold facts, thoughts, feelings, or sensations, it greatly increases the probability that collectively we can see reality more accurately. Ooh, right? If we all speak candidly and don't withhold facts, thoughts, feelings, or sensations, it greatly increases the probability that collectively we can see more accurately. I know, right? It's just simply about coming from your truth and speaking to and with, not about, never about, but always to and with the people and the situations, and really engaging in life, right? Not just holding things back and whatever. Now, I'm not saying get out there and go, bah! I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when you speak candidly. So I'm going to say, it says, I commit to saying what is true for me, and I commit to being a person whom others can express themselves with candor. So there's 3 circles of candor. So let me pull this up here, right? Oh, how do I make that picture bigger? Oh, how do I make that? Oh, just like that? Oh, just like that. All right. So wait, hold on. There we go. Lying, withholding, right? So we're either in truthfulness, openness, or awareness, right? So you're either lying, withholding, or uninformed. That's the outside of the circles. The inside is the truthfulness, openness, and awareness. So it says, oh, hold on. I love technology. It works so well for me. So the first circle answers the question, how accurate was my reveal? The second circle answers the question, how complete was my reveal? And the third circle answers the question, how self-aware am I? So these are really great questions to ask, right? How accurate was my reveal? How complete was my reveal? And how self-aware am I? And it says, like, a lot of times we project what we think, right? Without actually having conversations. Oh, if I tell so-and-so this, so let's go from a business standpoint. Oh, if I tell my boss that, his idea would cost us this much money, I might get fired for, showing up the boss or going against something that he wants, right? Or she wants, right? So we withhold, right? Sometimes we withhold. So speaking candidly is really, it says here, learning to eat your projections is a master skill of conscious leaders. So we accomplish this by listing our beliefs and complaints about others and asking ourselves, how is this true? So if something shows up in us, like, a projection on somebody else, we sit back and we go, so is that true? What it is? And have conversations with people. I really don't like when people just start spewing stuff, and when they start talking about me. This is okay. Let's talk about me for a minute, right? So if somebody starts talking about me but never spoke to me, that makes me crazy. Just saying, makes me crazy. Now, I'm not always perfect. I know, big shocker, right? I'm not always perfect. But if I have an issue with somebody, or I have a concern, or they made me feel something, and they can't make me feel, but it triggers something in me, I will bring it up with that person. I don't just talk about them behind their backs, right? Or worse, in front of a group of people. Just saying, whole other story. Anyway, what I'm saying is learn how to speak candidly and come from your truth. There's a piece in here that says speaking unarguably. So when we come from the I feel position, right? You're like, I feel hurt. Not you hurt me, but I feel hurt. Okay, that's a good way to start a conversation. I feel that what it says, if it says, I'm having the thought that we ought to find a new head of the Department of Surgery. Well, that's arguable. Well, sorry, it says, you're merely reporting a fact that you had a thought, and that thought occurred is unarguable. You can't argue with a thought. But if you said, we should hire a new CEO, then they're like, oh, no, these are all the reasons why we can't, right? But if you're thinking about it, or you feel that, a conversation needs to be had, that there's a slight difference in how we communicate. So I'm having a thought is without forming any attachment, right? So it says, tell me more about that thought. I'm curious to know what you think. So that's when candor is come, right? When candor, instead of being argued, then you get to go, well, tell me more about that, right? I love that phrase. Please tell me more about that. And it says, at any particular time, leaders are operating from either fear or love. This is simple yet profoundly true. Underneath all withholds is fear. We choose to withhold because we're afraid of losing approval, control, or security. And it says, the Bible says, speak the truth in love. And truly, that's like the best way to do it, right? So when you come from your truth, from your love, right? So I had to have a difficult conversation of sorts. It wasn't really it turned into me saying what I needed to say. Whether it turns into a conversation or not, I leave it up to the other person, right? I feel complete with having said what I needed to say. So if you're coming from your truth, then it's a lot more powerful because it's come from your truth, not from your anger, not from your projections, not from your ego, but when you're actually coming from truth, right? So it says, great leaders learn to reveal what is true for them by revealing what is inarguable. Crazy good, right? Conscious listening. I commit to being a person to whom others can express themselves with candor. That means I'm not going to judge. If you have an issue with me, please tell me, right? Don't go, oh my God, Beverly, you suck. No, because that might, trigger something. It probably won't, because I don't really care. Typically, I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever. It's, it's not about me. But if enough people say it to me, I might take a look at it. That's a whole other conversation. So listening with candor, listening open-heartedly, listening for what the other person is saying. And then you can do that wonderful thing that we learned in psychology, says, what I'm hearing you say is, and then you get to repeat it. And then you're like, that's not what I said at all. So let's try again, right? It's a really great communication tool. It sounds silly on the surface, but when you're in that conversation, you're like, I want to be heard. And then the other person goes to what I hear you saying. And then you're like, yes, that is what I'm saying. And it makes you feel so good. So it's a really good way to go. Anyway, so it talks about listening filters. And it says, we try to diagnose, correct, avoid conflict, defend, personalize, or hear what the other is saying, how it relates to you. So those are the filters that we use. So how about just listening to listen, not to what are you going to say next, but listen to listen. I have this wonderful woman in my world that every time I ask a question, she pauses. And, when we first started chatting, she's like, I'm not, ignoring your question. I'm thinking about it. And now I understand that about her because she's very thoughtful about how she shares information and replies. And I love that, right? So it's great. She taught me how to be in communication with her. Okay. One of the greatest gifts we can give one another is to listen deeply to what the other person most wants. So it's about talking from the heart, listening from the heart. So there's the practice of this chapter says, I feel, I notice, I'm having the thought that, But here's the bottom line. When we listen well, when we speak well, our communications are far much more powerful. And like, isn't that what we did? Isn't that why we are here? Isn't that why we are here on this earth, to expand, to have a juicy, delicious life with anybody who comes in our path? So how about if we speak candidly from truth and love, from our heart, don't withhold, always revealing the truth, right? I showed you the cute little picture. I'll pull it up one more time because I think this is a great place to end this chapter. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. So remember, speak candidly, speak from your heart. Have a great life. Thank you for joining. Next week, we're on to lesson number 5, chapter number 5. You want to know what it is? Eliminating gossip. I know, I can't wait till next week. See y'all next week.